She's going to start barking.
Do I got too much light in my background?
It just gives you that halo perception, Dave.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll leave that on then.
We are live.
Okay, good evening, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to the December 15th, 2020 school board meeting of the Springfield Local Schools Board of Education meeting via Zoom at 6 p.m. on December 15th. Mr. Adams, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Petrie.
Here.
Mr. Hess.
You're
I
muted.
noticed
Neil.
there.
Sorry about that. Here.
All right. That's all right. Mrs. Dodson.
Here.
Mr. Hofer.
I'm here.
Mr. Lance.
I am here as well.
Thank you all for being in attendance. Item number 3, Pledge of Allegiance. Chuck, if we can see your flag in the background, we'll all start with the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America
to the
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under
under
God,
God,
Indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty
with
and
liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for that. Move right into agenda items. Approval, item number 4, approval of minutes. It is recommended the board approve the minutes of the regular meeting of November 17th, 2020, the special meeting of November 21st, 2020, and the special meeting of December 1st, 2020, in Exhibit 1, 1A, and 1B.
So moved.
Thank you, Larry.
Second.
Thank you, Mary Lou. Any discussion? And hearing none, then Mr. Adams, would you call the roll for approval of minutes?
Mr. Lance.
yes.
Mr. Hofer.
Yes.
Mr. Petrie.
Yes.
Mrs. Dodson.
Yes.
Mr. Hess.
Yes.
Motion passes. Item number 5, citizens on agenda items. Excuse me. Citizens' comments on agenda items are welcome at this time. Participants will be limited to 5 minutes. And we have no comments on agenda items. We do, however, have some public comments for later in the agenda. Move on to item number 6, payment of bills monthly. It is recommended the board approve payment of bills for the month of November pending audit in Exhibit 2. May I have a motion, please?
So move.
Thank you, Neil.
Second,
Thank you, Chad. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. Mr. Adams, then would you call the roll for payment of bills?
Mr. Petrie.
Yes.
Mr. Ness.
Yes.
Mr. Lance.
yes.
Mr. Hofer.
Yes.
Mrs. Dodson.
Yes.
Motion passed. Item number 7, acceptance on some financial reports. It is recommended the board accept the financial reports from the treasurer for November 2020 and exhibits 3, 4, and 5. Motion, can I have a motion, please?
So move.
Second.
Thank you, Chad. Thank you, Mary Lou. Any comments? Then hearing none, then Mr. Adams, would you call the roll for acceptance of financial reports?
Mr. Hofer.
Yes.
Mrs. Dodson.
Yeah.
Mr. Lance.
Yes.
Mr. Hess.
Yes.
Mr. Petrie.
Yes.
Okay, motion carried for acceptance of financial reports. Number 8, personnel. It is recommended the board accept, approve the following personnel items. 8.1, retirement resignation. Accept the retirement resignation of teacher Kathy Burlow effective June 1st, 2021. 8.2, retirement resignation. Accept the retirement resignation of teacher Kathy Zahner effective June 1st, 2021. 8.3, retirement resignation. Accept the retirement resignation of classified employee Sue Hennigan effective June 1st, 2021. 8.4, unpaid leave of absence. Approve an unpaid leave of absence for classified employee Sandra Jett beginning December 7th, 2020 through the end of the 2020-21 school year. 8.5, unpaid leave of absence. Approve an unpaid leave of absence for classified employee Tiffany Worstetler to begin once sick leave has been exhausted through the end of 2020-2021 school year. 8.6, tenure. Approved tenure for teacher Matthew O'Brien, who was initially licensed prior to January 1st, 2011, holds a professional license, has appropriate credit hours, and has at least 3 years' experience in the district, and is therefore recommended for a continuing contract effective November 30th, 2020, pending proper documentation to meet requirements. 8.7, employment. Employ the following classified substitute for the negotiated agreement pending proper licensure effective first day assigned, Gary Jordan. 8.8, district leadership team. Approve the following teachers for the district leadership team, the DLT, per the negotiated agreement. Denise Freeze, Holly Reed, Nina Scrimo, Michelle Hanna, split position, Michelle King, split position. 8.9, building leadership teams. Approve the following teachers for the building leadership teams, BLT, per the negotiated agreement. High school and junior high, Tim Cole, Matt Graves, Michelle Hanna, Lindsay Ibos, Michelle King, Jen Smith, Kelly Humanansky. Schropp Intermediate, Tricia Williams, Debbie Frank, Carol Tolson, Holly Reed, Cynthia Ferguson, Tammy Justice. Spring Hill Elementary, Dina Scrimo, Caitlin Benner, Cindy Warzinski, Dana Floyd, Brett Zimmerman. Young Elementary, Christy Hubert, Jennifer Hoskins, Paula Murphy, Denise Freeze, Wendy Bluey. 8.10, reduction in force. Approve a reduction in force for the following classified positions due to financial reasons effective January 1st, 2021. Eliminate the following positions. Custodian, 8-hour high school, junior high field house. Custodian, 6-hour Schropp Intermediate / 2-hour administration building. Custodian, 6-hour Spring Hill Elementary. Student activities clerk, 1. Teaching assistant elementary library. Teaching assistant Schropp Intermediate Library and ISS library clerk, 1. Bus driver route 66. Reduce the hours of the following positions. Custodian, young elementary, reduce 4 hours per day. Athletic secretary, reduce 4 hours per day. 8.11, release from employment. Approve a release from employment with Springfield Local Schools due to a reduction in force for financial reasons for the following classified employees effective January 1st, 2021. Laura Pace, Matthew Schulte, Leah Edsale, Amy Laporis, Jessica Scarpitti, Sandra Hott, Nicole Nicely. 8.12, staffing reassignments. Approve the following staffing reassignments resulting from the reduction in force effective January 1st, 2021, unless otherwise noted. Laura Lansdale to Spring Hill Elementary, custodian, 8 hours. Deborah Campbell to Springfield High School Junior High, custodian, 8 hours. Rachel Walker to Schropp Intermediate School, custodian, 8 hours. Anna Marie Ross to Springfield High School Junior High, custodian, 8 hours. Douglas Householder to Young Elementary Custodian, 4 hours. Tina Tharp to Schropp Intermediate School, Head Building Secretary, effective December 14th, 2020. Kimberly Germanovich to Springfield High School Junior High Athletic Secretary, 4 hours. Linda Cooper to Schropp Intermediate School Teaching Assistant, Smithers, 6.5 hours. Vicky Kirby to Spring Hill Elementary Teaching Assistant, Marable, 6.5 hours. Lisa Gaynor to Spring Hill Elementary, a Teaching Assistant, Pendergast, 6.5 hours. Christy Hawk to Springfield High School Junior High Teaching Assistant, Mitchell, 7 hours. Nancy Kennedy to Spring Hill Elementary Teaching Assistant, Preschool, 6.5 hours. Vera Rogers to Spring Hill Elementary Teaching Assistant, Preschool, 4 hours. Tiffany Wursler to Springfield High School Junior High Educational Assistant, 7 hours. 8.13, Athletic Supplemental Contract. Approve the following supplemental contract for the 2021-22 school year per the negotiated agreement pending proper licensure. John Kinsey, varsity football head coach, 20%. 8.14, resignation. Accept the resignation of classified employee Cheryl Wagner, effective the end of workday January 4th, 2021. I have a motion for all those listed in item number 8.
So moved.
I think that was Larry, and Neil, did you second that?
Yes, I will.
Thank you. So it's been motioned by Larry, seconded by Neil. Is there any discussion on all this?
Yeah, kind of makes you sick.
Yeah, it's something I definitely do not enjoy reading. I know in the retirement resignation, at least in the custodial side, not that anybody's more important than anyone. We're losing some teachers with probably a lot of years of service. I know, Chuck, if you can kind of calculate that up. Superintendent has had a talent in this district for years of designing poster boards and painting them and making Schropp or wherever she was in the district, really something to look forward to. And I will miss that.
Sue was fantastic, and I just want to, convey my apologies and regret to everybody that we have to lay off. That's something that we don't want to do.
I'll echo that, Neil. It's something that we don't want to do. Unfortunately, we have to balance the budget. That's a requirement through the state. It is very sad, especially at this time of year.
And the state of Ohio really cares, don't they? They really care.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's taken them so long to get finally past the House with bipartisan support, 84-8, and it's stalled in the Senate House.
If you take a look at some of the junk the Senate is acting on these last couple weeks, I won't even list some of the insane things they are doing these last couple weeks, yet they can't fund education for disadvantaged students. Anybody that looks at some of the legislation they're passing next 2 weeks should be, my blood boils just thinking about it. I can feel my blood pressure raising, so I'm going to stop. But look at what your state legislature is doing these last 2 weeks. You should be ashamed of your state legislature. I know I am ashamed of our state legislature.
I'm ashamed of the governor for taking the money away from us to begin with, almost $1 million. I'm ashamed of the senators, the congressmen, the whole works, because you know what? If we did our jobs like they did, we would be out on our ear in a heartbeat. And why are they still there? Why do these people keep putting these people still back in? I don't understand it. They can't get the job done. How many years has school funding been ruled unconstitutional?
23.
23 years. Back in 1981, the fall, my oldest daughter was a senior. She had her band camp taken away from her. I said I would never do that again, and I will not. I will not. These cuts that we're going to make for 2021 in the fall, nope, I'm not doing it. I'm not taking away from these kids. These kids have nothing to do with it, and they shouldn't be punished. And I'm not doing it. I'm mad, I'm angry, and I'm going to get my pen and pencil ready, and I'm going to let them have it. I know they could care less, but at least I can say I did.
Okay. Anybody else? And hearing none others, Mr. Adams, would you call the roll for item number 8?
Mr. Hofer,
Unfortunately, yes.
Mrs. Dodson,
No,
Mr. Lance,
Yes.
Mr. Hess,
Yes.
Mr. Petrie.
Yes.
Okay. Mary Lou, you sure you want to vote that way? Just remember, even though the situation is bad in the state, we do have, like you said, if we didn't do our job right, we would get bounced. Just giving you that option.
no, I'm not changing my vote. You know what?
That's fine.
I haven't spent 40 years on the Board of Education to take this crap that's coming out of Columbus. I've had it with them. They expect us to balance our budget, but they don't do a stinking thing sitting on their thumbs down there. Like, what was it Neil said? Over stupid, frivolous stuff that doesn't mean a hill of beans. And these kids have the rest of their life. These kids have all of their life to go. And what are we doing to them? We're cheating them. I'm not going to cheat them. I'm not changing my vote. Thank you.
Okay. I respect that. Motion carries. Number 9, tax advance.
Excuse me, what we do have in our wings, we have
Okay.
Athletic Director Kevin Vaughn and our new head football coach, Coach John Kinsey. We'd like to bring him on for a second just to introduce him,
Sure.
if we could, please. Thank you.
Motion carries. I respect that. Motion carries. Number 9, tax advance.
Excuse me, what we do have in our wings, we have
Okay.
Athletic Director Kevin Vaughn and our new head football coach.
Some buffering issues.
I think I see Coach
I
here
think
now.
Mr. Vaughn had the meeting playing in the background there, so we were getting
Oh,
some
okay. All right.
replay, instant replay.
I love that. John, what do you think? Call still stands.
I know Chuck, you wanted me to introduce John.
Yeah, we could.
I'll go ahead.
Jeff, if you could.
I'll go ahead and do that, and then John can take over from there. One, I just want to thank the board for having me. Like I said, I'm here to introduce John Kinsey. John really needs no introduction. He's a familiar face to the district. John is a teacher in the junior high and high school building. He is also going into his 4th year as the district's head baseball coach. He's currently coaching 8th grade basketball for the Spartans, and has also had 4 years as a varsity basketball assistant while here in the Springfield. John has more than a decade of football coaching experience at various schools, and 9 of those years as being an offensive coordinator. John's last 4 years coaching football was at the neighboring district of Mogador, where he was the offensive coordinator. Like I said, we're excited to announce and have John Kinsey as the head football coach for the Spartan program. Congratulations, Coach. And any questions for John? He's here to take them.
Thanks, John, for being here tonight. We appreciate it. If you could, We really, we're excited about the football season coming up. We're glad you're with us here. And you got a couple words you want to say to the board?
Certainly. I'm excited to lead, these young men in 2021 and beyond. Obviously, I'd like to thank Mr. Vaughn. That was a phenomenal introduction there. Mr. Sincere and the entire Board of Education for the opportunity to lead this program and do the things that I feel we need to do. Lastly, I need to thank my wife for being a superwoman at home with my 3 kids and kind of allowing me to coach the game that I love and do the things that I love to do. Look, we have a great staff that's kind of already in the works and kind of already working behind the scenes and doing some things to improve the environment a little bit and create a culture that we feel is conducive to success. We want to be about football. We don't want to be about gimmicks or politics or anything like that. We just want to be about football. And we feel comfortable that we can get that done.
Thank you, John.
Best of luck to you, Coach.
Thank you very much.
Look
Thanks,
forward to
Coach.
great things.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, John. And, I do just want to take a second and I want to thank our prior coach as well, Dave Bosco. I know his record didn't show up, but I thought he did the best he could with difficult circumstances and appreciate what he did with just trying to make the boys into young men. And we know you'll work hard to do the same thing, Coach.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Welcome aboard, Coach. Congratulations. I know kind of got a tough hole to dig out of here with COVID. I know that affected the season as a whole. It's affected everything as a whole, but kind of a big hole to dig out of here. So hope things go well. If you need anything, let us know, and look forward to seeing what you can do. Thank you.
Thank you. It's definitely a unique challenge, but I think we look forward to it.
Awesome.
Thanks, Coach, for being here tonight for us.
Thank you.
All right, Kevin, thank you for being here too. We appreciate you guys. Keep up the good work and hang in there.
Thank you. Signing out.
Okay. Now we'll move on to item number 9, tax advance. It is recommended the board approve a resolution authorizing the advance of local taxes by the county fiscal office for the 2020 tax year payable in 2021 in Exhibit 6. Their motion, please.
So move.
Thank you, Neil.
Second that.
Second.
Thank you, Fred. Any discussion? Hearing none, then Mr. Adams, would you call the roll for item number 9, tax advance?
Mr. Lance,
Yes.
Mr. Hess,
Yes.
Mr. Petrie,
Yes.
Mr. Hofer,
Yes.
Mrs. Dodson.
Yes.
Motion passes. Item number 10, service agreement power for schools. It is recommended the board approve a master electric energy sales agreement with NG Resources LLC to continue partnering in the Energy Group Purchase Program in Exhibit 7. Motion, please.
So move.
Thank you, Larry.
Second.
Thank you, Neil. Any discussion?
Is this the first time we've done this contract? Is this a new vendor or is this something we've done annually?
No, we participated in the Power for Schools program for many years. I'm not actually it originated before my tenure as business manager there, and the program is at the point it needs to be renewed. So it's been a long-standing program within the district, and the rate we received, the cap on the rate we received, it is a variable nature, but it's capped at a lower rate than we're currently paying. So regardless, we can't say exactly how much savings we'll see with it, but we will see savings with it for the school buildings.
I think, unless I read the contract wrong, it was about 2 cents per kilowatt hour. I saw something in Exhibit A. And
Yeah, I think it was around 1 cent to 2 cents. They go out to, the 5th decimal place or something when they're calculating these rates. So
Sure.
It's 0.003129 or something like that. It was
yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's good. I mean, if you just go on the apples to apples comparison for buying electricity, it's what, 5 to 6 cents per kilowatt hour. So it's
For
good.
residential, yes.
Yeah, and we're paying in the 3 cents. So we're getting a very good deal for this group purchase, and we've had it's been a good program that we've, in the years that we participated in it, look forward to continuing it. And I think it was October, we approved a similar gas program with the Ohio Schools Council, which manages this Power for Schools there. So we have some good rates locked in for our utilities.
That's good. Every little bit helps. And hearing no other discussions, if no one has anything, Mr. Adams, would you call the roll for service agreement Power for Schools?
Mr. Hofer,
Yes.
Mr. Lance,
Yes.
Mrs. Dodson,
Yes,
Mr. Hess,
Yes.
Mr. Petrie.
Yes.
Motion passes. Item number 11, President Pro Tem. It is recommended the board name such person as President Pro Tem until 2021. President is selected at the organizational meeting scheduled for January 12th, 2021 at 6 p.m. Any names?
I think Neil is vice president, correct?
That is correct.
So I'd like to nominate Neil as president pro tem.
I'll second that.
Okay, been kneeled and seconded. Any other discussion? Then hearing none, Mr. Adams, would you call the roll for President Pro Tem, item number 11?
Mr. Petrie,
Yes.
Mrs. Dodson,
Yes,
Mr. Hofer,
Yes.
Mr. Lance,
Yes.
Mr. Hess.
Yes.
Item carried. Item passed. Congratulations, Neil. You're at President Pro Tem until our organizational meeting.
Thank you.
Item number 12, donations. It is recommended the board approve the following donations. 12.1, Springfield Youth Basketball Association, a donation of $1,500 to the girls' high school basketball team for the Springfield Youth Basketball Association. 12.2, Tom and Nina Pinninger, a donation of $60 to the boys' high school soccer team from Tom and Nina Pinninger, grandparents of student Carter Welsh. 12.3, Linda and Bradley Birch, a donation of $100 to the Spartan Caring Closet from Linda and Bradley Birch.
I'll move.
Motion, please. Thank you, Chad. I'll second that. Any discussion on that? I want to thank our donors for supporting our school system.
Thank you as well.
Any other discussion? Then hearing none, and Mr. Adams, would you call the roll for item number 12, donations?
Mr. Lance,
Yes.
Mr. Hofer,
Yes.
Mrs. Dodson,
yes,
Mr. Hess,
Yes.
Mr. Petrie.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you again for those organizations and people for their donations. Item number 13, Treasurer's Report. Mr. Adams, you're up.
Okay, I wanted to present you with a budget versus actual. A couple things I wanted to discuss is in this budget versus actual, you'll see a significant reduction from this year versus last year. And that's a lot to do with the CARES money and other grants that we're utilizing that traditionally would go into the general fund. But really, it's how we doing versus budget, because the budget already had that taken care of. And we're doing very well. I mean, considering our total expenditure is estimated, and that's in line, that's really right below line 5.04. It's 5.05 if you're looking at the report of $29,837,000. is our actual. Our budget is 29,773,000. And it's really tracking that way on revenues too. So through the first 5 months actual on a $30 million budget, we are pretty much spot on. I mean, we're off a little bit, but from a numerical standpoint, we're 99-point-something% on budget, which is good. That means there's no major surprises. I do not anticipate any help from the state this year. So that's pretty much flatlined. If you see on line 1.035, I anticipate 8,992,000 from the state, and we got 8,999,000 from them last year. And that number typically goes up 2% a year. So 2% on $9 million is a couple $100,000. And that's where it hurts us, that when you don't get growth on your revenue, and we haven't, we have to compensate it on the expenditure side. You'll notice, let's go back to expenditures on purchase service line 3.03. You know, we're down 6.4% from last year, and that has to do with CARES money. And you will see on line 3.04 supplies, we actually had a credit, and again, that had to do with a grant that we were able to utilize. That typically hits general fund. Originally it did hit general fund, and we did an expense distribution. We did have a workers' comp check. That's going to be, I anticipate in December, we will receive it. And that was a quite substantial, couple $100,000 for a workers' comp rebate. Yeah, that helps. But again, what we're doing is we're pretty much tracking right online. We submitted on December 9th the fiscal report to the Ohio Department of Education. Pretty much immediately, he wrote back to me and wondered how we're going to get out of this year. And I told him that I'm right now talking to some financial institutions on a short-term loan. When I say short-term, I mean May or June of 2021, the loan will go in, and then 3 to 5 months later, I'm going to pay it off. It'll just get me through this year. And then with the anticipated cuts that we've marked down, that should get us through next year. I have another option. My state auditors currently aren't in an agreement. And until they are, or until the matter gets settled, I really don't want to get into the details just yet. Again, it would be an infusion of money from another fund that we currently have. And then it would just be advanced back out immediately. But since this fund is outside of the general fund, they tend to get a little nervous. So I'm still hoping that that's an option. But either way, the benefit is, when I first became treasurer 10 years ago, my predecessor had a $2 million loan, and that cost $7. Yeah, and that was just every year. It was just kind of like re-upped, and that loan cost us $70,000 over for a year because it was never paid for. That was when interest rates were much higher than they are now. So I don't anticipate, if we do get a loan, we're going to try our darndest to keep it to a minimum. And but it won't be $70,000 in interest expense. It won't be anywhere near that, because one, we'll only take it out for a couple months, and two, the interest rates aren't that high. So again, I want to just reiterate the fact that unless something changes, and as Mary Lou has stated, I don't anticipate a major shift in funding from the state. Next year, 21-22 is going to be the tough year. But if we can get through that year, we can start looking, because what'll happen is these reductions are gonna act just like a levy, okay? And then we have that discussion, say, in the next year too. The hopes in the treasurer's office is within a year or so, we'll be able to come back and start making a decision on what we're going to bring back. And I want the taxpayer, I want everyone out there that's watching to understand that this is a temporary setback, and it's a painful temporary setback, but it's not going to last forever.
Chris.
Yeah.
First, I just wanted to say, I think my opinion in regard to the loan. I would much prefer borrowing from our sinking fund and avoiding any interest when we're debating, things that will save us $10,000. I want to save every penny in interest that we can. So, short of the state of Ohio saying they're going to put us all in jail for borrowing from our sinking fund, personally, that's where I'd get the money from.
I think the worst case scenario, Neil, is I may not get it, and I don't really care. The treasurer's office may not get that award, not this year, the following year. Again, if it means saving a substantial amount of money and anything is substantial for us, then I agree with you. I just need to find out how the auditors are going to react and then bring that back to the board.
Short of throwing us in jail, let's say we do it. And I did have a couple questions about the spreadsheet. Just I have to pull it up on my computer. I wasn't able to print it out.
Sure.
So this year, our deficit at the end of this year, Chris, 1.5 million. Am I reading that correctly, or am I not reading this?
No, 2.5 million.
2.5 million is our deficit.
As we stand right now, the goal is to get that throughout the rest of the 7 months to drop it. Now, I don't anticipate too much of a drop, but we're going to try everything we can.
So as of today, our deficit for this year is 2.5 million.
2 million, correct.
How does, I know we don't have a 5-year forecast today, but how does I believe you had reflected some of the anticipated House Bill 305 money, which did not pass in our 5-year forecast. Is that going to take much of a hit because that did not pass?
It's a $300,000 hit.
That's what you had projected into it?
For next year. I projected that for next year, next fiscal year. There's still hope. We still have a stimulus bill being negotiated right now by the federal government. I'm hoping we received something. I don't know. Every day, it switches every day. I think they're at a $980 billion stimulus bill. And the last time I read, they're playing either money to the people or money to the states. And so I don't know where that's going to play out.
Okay. And on the spreadsheet that you gave us, are the potential reductions in force shown on that?
Yes. Yes.
Is that
not on this spreadsheet? It's on the financial recovery plan that was sent to ODE.
Okay, so they're not projected on this.
Correct. This is just a budget versus actual. I just basically like to see where we're at versus last year's actuals and where we're at versus the budget.
Okay. But when you say we are trending online, it's not that mean we're trending on a balanced budget. We're just trending on where you anticipated we would be. We are still substantially in the hole.
That's a very good point. That's correct.
Okay.
I wish we were trending much better, but we are right on budget as of today. The big mystery coming up is if you look in line 1.01, real estate, that can change a couple 100,000 either way. So that's the one that I always hold my breath in. I anticipate some growth. There's a lot of new construction going on. New construction is new money. I know a lot of homes behind me are coming on the tax records. You got homes off of Sanitarium Road that are going to be coming on. It's just a matter of how quickly they come onto the tax records. I do anticipate a small bump. And that's why it's so important for our district to get back on its feet, because again, we have a lot of property in this district. We got a lot of open field space. I see it every day when I come to work. And we have a history of people buying homes in this district. That's a good thing. We want to continue that practice of seeing developments fill up quickly. Because you think about it, 200 homes, the homes that they're building are all over 200,000. So their taxes are over 4,000. We get about 70% of it. Say 3,000 times 200. That's $600,000 in new revenue. That's why it's important to maintain our school system, because it drives in income for young people with families moving in. Any other questions?
Yeah, Chris, what's the, there's two bills in the State House, State Senate, and I'm vehemently opposed to them because what they want to do is roll back some of the appraised value, and that could be hard. That could be very hard on us.
Is it more that they're trying to make it more difficult to challenge these values? Yes, you're absolutely right. We have a law firm up in Cleveland that we work very closely with. That they let's put it this way, their bill is I don't mind paying that bill because they save us on a continuing basis. A lot of it is commercial properties that they are aggressive with, and we fight it. And we typically look at an arms sale agreement as that's golden, but a lot of property owners are they're being aggressive. They want to reduce their taxes. So you're right, Dave, that can hurt us in the future. I don't know why they've been attacking that process for the last 3. It seems like every other year another House bill gets popped up, and it's just a continuing battle.
I know why that is. It's because lowering taxes is popular, and state legislators like to be popular. They don't care about paying bills. They just want to be popular. So they make us charge the residents more money.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happens. It goes from the shoulders of typically, if somebody can afford a $2 million building in Springfield Township, they're doing okay, And if they reduce their taxes, where does that land on? It lands on the average person in a house in Springfield. So you're right, it's just a shift, I call it. It's just a shift of burden on residential properties.
That's why the ROLF is so important. It would shift some of the burden away from our property owners back to the state and make it more of a 50-50.
Right.
It's not fair now.
It is not.
But unfortunately, that didn't put us in this situation this time.
No.
Okay. Any other comments from you, Chris?
That's it for me.
Okay. Thank you for your report. We'll move on to 14, business managers report. Dustin, you're on deck.
Good evening. First of all, I want to thank the board for their support of the energy agreement that was passed this evening. As said, this is won't be a monumental savings, but every little bit helps when we're stretching for every penny there. So we're glad to be able to lock those savings in there. Along those lines, I want to talk about a report I recently received from one of our energy partners, Gardner. This particular report focuses solely on the high school, junior high building, and with services that we started with them back in early 2016. Energy management services. They helped us get our Energy Star rating up. We went from a 69 Energy Star rating in 2016 up to a 98 score of 98 on our Energy Star currently. So along with that, there's of course been savings along with doing that in the items that we've implemented. A lot of this has been on the controls behind the scene, just how the HVAC systems operate and when we're using the compressors, when we're making ice to use for air conditioning and so on, and just fine tuning those systems. Since 2016, they've calculated a net savings for us through avoidance of energy bills and through the contracted rates that we've got. So altogether, and this is just at the high school, between electric and natural gas savings. And this is minus the fees that they've charged for the services that they've rendered a savings of $192,000 over the course of those 4 years. So, we've been working hard trying to make that a very energy efficient. The Energy Star rating, I think, speaks for itself, but wanted you to see the savings that are behind that score there, as we've touted several times the Energy Star score that we've received, but the savings associated with that there. So, and these will continue to see savings there. We're not, of course, seeing that, given back to us. It's just costs that we've avoided having incurred over that period there since January of 2016. So, second item, I'd just like to, thank all the staff that have been working so hard through all this, and, especially some of those that unfortunately were positions were eliminated this evening. We'll be delivering some letters to them tomorrow explaining the situation, and just thank them for all their hard work and dedication. They've certainly done a great job, and will be missed. Last item that I'd like to report this evening is our staff, we've received some volunteers that are willing to come in and work over winter break to continue the meal distribution program. So throughout winter break, we will continue distributing meals I'll explain the schedule in just a second. It'll be slightly reduced over winter break, but on Mondays and Wednesdays, the 2 Mondays and Wednesdays that we have over break, we will distribute meals from 11 to 1 at Door J, just like we have been this fall. But on each of those days, we'll distribute 2 meals. So that will cover Monday and Tuesday, and then Wednesday and Thursday of each week. So Christmas Day and New Year's Day will be the only 2 days there won't be meals available there. And we'll just distribute those on Monday and Wednesday of each week, and delivery will continue for those that have been receiving. We implemented delivery service for those that were unable to get out since we went completely remote. We're not able to do that. We don't have the staffing for that when we're in session, but since we've been remote, we have been conducting deliveries, and that will continue on each Monday and Wednesday over break as well. So I'm glad to have that program available to our community, and that'll be for any child ages 1 through 18 is eligible to receive those meals. Any questions?
No, just a comment to those savings from Gardner, anticipated savings, about $50,000 a year. So it's not bad.
I know, it's excellent.
Yeah. Anytime you can tweak systems like that, it's actually kind of fun when you do that. And you can actually look at bringing something on, and that's the reason for some of those drives up at the high school that they'll run up. That's the reason they use VFDs. For people that don't know what that is, a variable frequency device, and they run on demand instead of running a pump at flat out line speed, which would be typically set 1725. You can bring it on and move water. If just a few rooms or have a call for heat or call for cooling versus just running it at a lower speed, and you can still get the same amount of cooling or heating to those rooms as you would, but you don't have to run a deadhead a pump at full pressure and and recirculate right back to the supply. There's a lot that goes into that, but yeah, that's interesting stuff.
Dustin, I'd just like to say thanks for all your work with the food program, as well as the volunteers that are coming in over break. That could be I hate to put in these terms, but that could be a lifesaver for some of these kids over the 2 weeks where school's out of session. So thank you immensely to you and to the volunteers that are coming in to work that. And just to verify, I know I've actually heard some negative comments on this, that this is something that the district is paying for. Why are we paying all these meals for all these kids? But this is completely refunded, or I shouldn't even say refunded. This is a grant, correct?
We're reimbursed for each meal that we serve through the United States Department of Agriculture.
Okay.
It operates our normal food service program, and the reimbursements that we receive for free meals and stuff through there. This is operated through there, and with this program, we're reimbursed for every meal that we provide.
So it's coming out of our pocket, but then reimbursed. So we're at a
Correct.
we're not losing money on this. We're not gaining money on this. So it's just a good program for the kids that are out there right now. Greatly appreciated.
Yeah. And they have made the program available. It's not required to participate in. And yeah, I'd like to, echo the thanks for all the staff that are coming in to take care of that and giving up some of their winter break to take care of that, because, nobody wants to eat what I cook. So we're glad to have them come in and help out and provide that to the community. So
well, thanks again.
You're welcome.
Any other comments for Dustin? Hearing none, we'll move on. Thank you, Dustin, for your time and for your report. Brings us to item number 15, Superintendent's Report. Chuck, you're on deck.
All right. Good evening, and thank you, Mr. Hofer. We recognize some of our retirees tonight. They did announce their retirement in the summer, usually June or July. We recognize all of our retirees for the school year. I expect to have a couple more as the year goes on, but we recognize these folks and we give them their retirement bell. And at that time, we'll give a full report on them and their years of service. But the folks that we talked about tonight, just outstanding folks and a lot of good years of service, and proud of all of them, but excited too for their retirement as they move on to their next stage and have activities that they're going to be involved in. All good folks. Also want to thank Neil Hess for being our President Pro Tem tonight, and we look forward to working with you as we return to business on January 1. Also, I want to thank our new head football coach, John Kinsey, and excited to see John out there, coach, working with the kids, and just getting excited about that. And I'm looking forward to seeing the team and the band out there and all that, and getting back to some normalcy. So, I appreciate John stepping up for this challenge. Also, we talked a little bit about it, but the food service program last year when COVID hit us in the spring, and the federal government helped out by with the food programs, and then with the reimbursement of meals, and then continuing the program this year, it really helps out not only the children, like Mr. Lance was saying, but it helps out the districts by offering a reimbursement for every meal that goes out. And if you ever get a chance, talk to the children receiving and the families receiving it, and they really are thankful for it. And so we're blessed that we're able to provide these meals for the folks and keep the program going while we're on break, because the kids and the folks and the families, they really need it. So thank you for all those folks that are going to help out with the food service and that program. As we, of course, this is our last board meeting as we get ready to wrap up the 2020 year. It's been a crazy one, and COVID's really added some difficult tasks for us. And I want to thank some folks in this. When COVID hit us, the work that the administration had to jump in and work on and continue to do each day I report to the board our positive cases that we get and the contact tracing that's involved and those things. So I want to thank our administrative team. I also want to thank our teachers and all the staff for, we go to in person, then we bounce back out to remote learning, and these are major adjustments for us. And I'm just so proud of the work that we do to keep the learning styles going on those extreme times. And we get a positive case, we contact trace. How are you going to make it work? How are you going to keep the learning going for the children? Staffing and all those things are very, very challenging for all of our folks. But I also want to thank our students and the families too for all working together on this too, because these are challenging times. But we got to keep up the safety as we go through this. So I want to say we're glad to see 2020 go on its way, and look forward to some new things as we enter into 2021. Tonight, I also want to thank the folks that give donations to the children. These benefit our children each time. You'll see that we recognize the donations, and these are the kinds of dollars that greatly help out a school district, and they certainly help our folks out. And we talk about the youth basketball or the soccer program, but the Spartan Caring Closet, for some of the folks that don't know, that's a room up at the high school and junior high that has clothing for the children if they need things. So we really appreciate the folks donating and helping out in the Spartan Caring Closet. Well, along with COVID safety, we still keep up with our building safety and school safety. We want to thank our staff, students, and safety forces for all working closely together on safety plans and drills. Each year we practice evacuation drills, lockdown drills, shelter in place drills, bus evacuations. We want to thank all the folks for working closely to keep our students and staff safe. Safety is our number one priority. And we thank all those folks for getting together. And last month we put together a big task force and we worked on this. So school safety is still on and going. So thank you to all those groups. Last Tuesday, just yesterday, December 14th, Summit County Executive Eileen Shapiro and Summit County Health Commissioner Donna Skota extended the stay-at-home advisory. Originally, it was issued for November 19 in response of the rapid increase in the number of COVID-19 cases, emergency room visits, and the COVID-19 related deaths. But the advisory now is extended to January 31 of 2021. The advisor urges all residents to stay at home to the greatest extent as possible. Residents should only leave home to go to work or school, or for essential needs such as seeking medical care, going to the grocery store or pharmacy, picking up food, or receiving deliveries. Residents are strongly advised to avoid traveling in and out of states, foregoing having guests in your home during holiday gatherings, and utilize online communication wherever possible. In Summit County, we're beginning to see a surge from the COVID-19 cases as a result of the folks gathering for Thanksgiving. As this year winds down and the holidays are upon us, I encourage all of our staff, students, and families to please keep gatherings limited to those who live in the house. And as always, stay home. And if you have to go out, wear a mask, stay 6 feet apart, and wash your hands. At this time, we're scheduled to return to school for in-person instruction on Tuesday, January 5. Over the break, we'll be closely watching the data to determine if that date is even possible. And by folks keeping up with their safety plans, staying safe, those kinds of things, that will allow us to return to our in-person on January 5. Now, we still monitor the data over break. We report positive cases. We continue with those things. So I encourage everybody, please stay safe. And my last tonight will be Christmas is coming. So with Christmas fast approach, I'd like to take this opportunity to express my gratitude to the students, staff, parents, and the community and the board members for the enthusiastically contributing so much to our district. I'm proud to work with so many great people who dedicate their lives to helping our community's future by serving children directly and indirectly, both in our schools and supporting our schools. Tonight, I want to wish all of you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you, folks.
Thanks, Chuck. Thanks for your report.
Thank
Anybody else have anything to say on Chuck's report?
Not about Chuck's report, but
Okay.
I did have a quick question. The financial recovery plan that we submitted to the Ohio Department of Education, I assume that's a public document. Is that something that we have posted to our website, or can we post to our website? I've had a lot of questions about it. Try to do the best I can to answer them, but at the same time, if there was somewhere I could point people to where they could read it for themselves.
I believe it's out there.
It is on
I
the
believe it's
website,
out there, Neil. Yeah, it's on
SpringfieldSpartans.org/finance.
yes. Yep. Yeah, I was looking at it earlier this week. Yes, it's out there.
Perfect. Thank you.
It's actually got the 4 or 5 page plan, and it also has the this that we put together, the visual of the cuts that were going to be made. So yeah, those are both out there.
Great.
Okay. Thanks again, Chuck, for your report. We'll move on to item number 16. Items worthy of your note. December 18th and second semester quarter / first semester already. December 21st, teachers record day, no school. December 22nd, winter vacation begins. January 6th, classes resume. Keep your fingers crossed and check in with the district website for updated information. January 12th, next regular board meeting at 6. And January 18th, Martin Luther King Day, no school. Item number 17, citizens' comments. And I know, Dustin, we have one in the wings waiting to show a video.
Yes. Give me one moment.
All right. I didn't expect it to be that quick. I was watching you and then there you were. Do I just go for it, guys?
You're on.
All right.
5 minutes.
All right. Good evening. My name is Angela Cantor. Mr. Lance has an email from me and Mr. Adams has a voicemail, and I'm looking forward to talking to you. I'm really nervous. I'm going to try not to cry. I'm an alumni. I graduated in 2005. I spent 40 Friday nights on Mr. Cole's football field. I played the trumpet. I want you to know I graduated from high school because of Mr. Cole. I went to college. I have a BA in music. I have a master's degree in education from Ashland University. I'm a teacher in Canton. In June, I will be a licensed teacher in Ohio in music, and I will also be an intervention specialist. For the past 13 Friday nights, you'll find my son, Joshua, on Mr. Cole's field. He plays the trombone. And I'm here tonight on behalf of, I guess, myself, my family, the band boosters. I'm going to ramble and I'm sorry. I'm scared. Band's very important to me. Mary Lou, you got mad.
I did.
Because I'm mad right now. I was under the assumption last week that band was gone. And Mr. Lance had, he replied to other parents. And as we talked, we realized that band is not gone, high school band, if I understand correctly.
That's correct.
Okay, it's going to be things like elementary band and elementary choir, general music. Do you remember Mr. Tittle? The last concert in 8th grade, which these kids in the future will not have, is when I knew I wanted to be a band director. And if they aren't there, if Mr. Cole and Mrs. Fraley are not there to build that culture and to give our kids that family that I had, that our kids have now, it's not going to be what it is. So I'm asking you, as I'm trying not to cry and embarrass myself in front of the township and the board that I would like to work with, I have questions. I really am going to try not to cry. I'm just very passionate. When I'm mad, I cry. Apparently, it's the thing I do. I've been talking with other parents. I have almost 300 people in a Facebook group for the band. I may have got a little mad. May have said a couple things I shouldn't have said, but I'm done now. I just want to work with you. I just want to work with everybody to do what we can to save band. You were laying people off tonight and I started to cry. And that's, you cry, it doesn't stop. So I have questions. I want to know what exactly you plan on cutting under this current plan in the music department. I think I already know, but you know what they say about assuming. I want to know, we're talking about fundraising, possibly on a massive scale. I don't know how that works legally. I don't know how that works logistically, but I've got the passion and I've got the drive and I'm here and I want to help. I want to know if we raise funds, maybe in a pledge campaign from alumni or a GoFundMe or any of the other numerous ways. I want to know if we can use those funds and allocate them just for the music program to help fund it, to help run it. Again, I don't know the logistics of that or the legalities, but I want to do everything I can. We also, another question that I have, we have a ballpark figure of what it would cost to keep our teachers. And again, legalities that I don't understand or know. I've got a crash course in what you guys do every day in the past week and a half, and I'm exhausted. I can only imagine how emotionally exhausted each of you are. What the ballpark figure would be and when we would need that money by, if it's even legally a possibility, because I don't know the legalities of fundraising. We'd like to know when the levy is going to go back on the ballot. I really, really hope you don't wait until November. I really hope we can do it sooner. I know you've been told no twice. I did not tell you no. And no voter who lives in my house told you no either. We told you yes. I'd also like to know, I'm sorry, I'm reading it and trying not to cry. I'd like to know what other options the board considered before these cuts or other cuts that they considered. I also want to know the plan that you submitted. I'd really like to know when the state is going to respond to that. I understand that you're not going to be voting until the spring, and it sounded from other responses that Mr. Lance had time to give other parents. He hasn't had time to respond to me yet, and I understand, but it sounded like this is not a done deal yet. It sounded like maybe there's some kind of Hail Mary that we can figure out somewhere. And if it's out there, I'd like to help you find it, or I'd like to help you run it. I'm talking fast because I really don't know how long 5 minutes is. I'm sorry. I've never done this before, but I guess if this is going to be somebody's first time to talk to a school board, it should be now. I want you to know that Mr. Cole and Mrs. Fraley saved my kid last year. I don't know if any of you have ever sat on a 504 meeting. I'm a single mom, so obviously I went by myself. Mr. Cole taught for Mrs. Fraley, and Mrs. Fraley came to the 504 meeting and she sat on my side of the table because she loves my kid and she speaks his language, just like Mr. Cole spoke mine. So I think I got all my questions out. I just really want you to know that I am who I am today. I'm the mom I am. I'm the teacher I am. I graduated from high school and I went to college because of Mr. Cole. My son he's going to be that same kid. And without elementary, whatever you do to that music program, and I'm not saying that you're doing it because you want to. I know you don't. And I understand you have a budget to balance. But whatever happens to that music program, even in elementary school, is going to be detrimental to those kids. And so now I think I'm rambling, but I appreciate your time and I hope I got it all out. And I hope there's other parents here to maybe fill in the blanks where I got rambling and try not to cry. So thank you.
Thank you, Angela, for your comments.
Thank you.
I think what in board members informal, we'll cover some of those questions that you raised.
You did a very good job, Hunter. I
Thanks,
know.
because I'm scared.
I know.
Don't worry. Us board members have cried. Administration has cried. Teachers have cried. Students have cried.
Yep.
And we feel your heart. And I'm thankful that you spoke up tonight. Hopefully a lot of people hear your message. It came from the heart, and I can tell that. And I want to congratulate you for that. You've been very brave tonight. And you speak for many people, I can tell.
I really hope that we can work together and maybe we can figure something out if you're willing to work with me. I'll cry less, I promise.
Angela, thank you for being here tonight too. We appreciate it. I want to wish you well too on your program. I know that you talked about continuing your education into serving with handicapped children. So I want to wish you the well on that.
Thank you.
We need you.
Thank you very much.
Angela, Angela, while you're still here, I would like
Yes,
to
sir.
thank you. I'd like to thank you for talking tonight, also for your email. I did get your email. I will admit one of your sentences was talking about my reply to Mrs. Porter, so I didn't respond to yours. So I apologize for that. I obviously don't have time to reply to all the emails that we received.
I get it.
You actually stole a little bit of my thunder for my informal at the end, but I will talk to you about this now.
Sorry.
No. Thank you.
Fine.
And this was one of the things I wanted to cover tonight. Out of all the emails I received and all the emails I've received in the past as a board member, almost all of them say, find something else to cut. You have to find another way. There has to be something else, but that's it. They don't give any options. They don't give any suggestions, and you did. And I want to thank you for that. Now, I can't speak to the legality of, now from my seat, raising money would be just like the donations we accepted tonight would be my understanding. But again, I will not, don't quote me on that. And I will not speak to those because I don't know the legalities on those. But what I want to thank you is for coming up with a few ideas. You didn't just say, find something else. You have to keep band, find something else. There has to be other ways. I'm sitting here as a parent as well, thinking, what other ways are there? And I don't know. And I'm asking you, I'm asking other parents, I'm asking community members that voted no on the levy. Give us some other options, give us some ideas, and we will do what we can with those ideas and those suggestions. So again, I want to thank you for that. Your email was one of the few, maybe the only one that actually gave some suggestions. So again, thank you for that. And I'm asking the community for ideas and suggestions. We need them. Every school district probably needs them. We're not the only district in trouble here. So that's where I'm going to leave that with you, Angela. Again, thank you. I know it's not easy to come in to speak. It's probably tougher on Zoom than it is to actually be at the meeting where you can see us face to face and actually interact like that. So this is probably the hardest one that you picked to come in, but again, you did. And I applaud you for that. Thank you.
I look forward to working with you. I hope we get to.
Oh, you will. Trust us.
I'm here if you're here.
Dustin, is there any more?
No.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Angela.
Good evening, Angela.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you again. Good night. We'll move into item number 18, board members informal. Chad, you don't need any introduction. You talked with me a little bit earlier about some passions. I share some of those with you. And I guess we'll just have an informal discussion, and that's what it's there for. So Chad, go ahead and start us off.
Appreciate it, Dave. Chuck, Chris, Dustin, Brad, Mary, everybody, thanks for all your reports tonight. I know.
I'll be back in 2 minutes. 1 minute.
No problem, Chris. Thank you. So again, Angela kind of stole a little bit of what I wanted to talk about tonight, or I shouldn't say stole it. She just got me in a little bit early. One thing I want to cover, I saw a lot of comments. I heard a lot of comments that band's getting cut. There will be no more band. There will be no more sports. There will be no more library. I can't say that that's false, but it is. We're not getting rid of band. Angela actually talked about that there. We're not getting rid of band. We're not getting rid of the libraries. We're not going to lock the doors on the library. At least that's my understanding. These are things to where we have to put together, again, a plan to send to the state. Nothing except what we voted on tonight for these first rounds of cuts. And again, a terrible, difficult decision to make. None of these things in the plan after tonight is set in stone. None of it. I was telling someone the other day, I said, if an alumni happens to be loaded and writes a $1 million check to the district, that will save some of those issues. I don't know if we have any extremely wealthy LeBron James alumni or anything like that out there, but that would help us with any cuts that we had to make. So again, we're not losing the band. We are making cuts to the music department, and that could affect the band, but we are not cutting the band. Sports related, we are, after this winter season, cutting junior high sports. That's going to save money on the supplemental contracts of the coaches. Pay to play is there for high school sports going forward. Again, the plan. But those are things that were put into this difficult situation by the levy not passing twice. These are things, Neil has alluded to it, Dave has alluded to it, that we have to legally balance the budget. We had the state, imagine, the state comes in and says, we're going to pull $1 million from the funds that we're giving you halfway through, 3/4 of the way through last year and at the start of this year. Last year, that budget was already done. And then to come in and say, we're pulling $475,000 that we're not going to give you, you just can't come up with that in 2 months. And that just kind of snowballed the effect that we were already in. So that was the first part of what I wanted to talk about. The second part are 3 challenges that I want to throw out there to the administration going forward as part of this plan. My first one is we have to find a way in the year almost 2021, we have to find a way to keep a technology/computer class and teachings for our students. I walked through my house during a lunch break. I'm working from home as well. I walk through my house and I see 3 of my kids, the youngest one, a 2nd grader, spending 6-7 hours a day on a Chromebook in front of a computer learning school. And we're sitting here and we're saying that we're going to cut computer classes and technology classes from these kids. And I can't fathom going to school in the year 2021, 22, 23 and forward without a technology and computer class. So that's my first challenge to Chuck, to you and the administration, is to see we have to find a way to do everything we can to get a technology class, to keep a technology class of some sorts offered to our students. My second one, and this might be a little bit of ignorance on my part, but it's the busing situation that we proposed in the plan. I'm extremely confused by it. I know the plan is to only offer busing for K-8 outside of a 2-mile radius. So I'm sitting here and thinking 6th, 7th, and 8th graders will be at the high school, junior high next year, with the 9, 10, 11, and 12th grade students that will not be bused. So you're still driving the buses to that school to drop off your 6th, 7th, 8th graders. and you're going to drive by a house that's within 2 miles and not pick up that student. And I, for one, live on Canton Road, and I do not want to see any student walking to school on Canton Road. I don't want to see them walking to school on Sanitarium Road. Sanitarium Road, because of the potholes, I swerve on that road to avoid the potholes. I do not want any child to walk on that road. So I really want to look at I would like to see, and again, maybe it's my ignorance, I'd like to maybe see some numbers on it. How much are we really saving by a bus driver driving by 3 houses and not picking up a child because they live within 2 miles? How much are they saving if they pick up an 8th grader and 2 driveways down is a 9th grader that they're not going to pick up? Maybe we can work on maybe consolidated bus pickup spots or something, but I'd really like to see something done to the busing cuts that we're proposing. Again, maybe I'm just not understanding it. So that was my second challenge. My last one, and Chris, looking at your spreadsheet tonight, on the 3rd line actually led me into my 3rd challenge, and that's the income tax. I did a little bit of research on this. There is one district in Stark County, which is Northwest. And from what I could find, there was one district in Summit County, which is Norton, that both have income taxes. Norton was 0.5% and Northwest was 1%. The way, again, for my research, an income tax, the way it works is it doesn't matter where you work, it matters where you live. If you live in Springfield School District, so that could be the Coventry portion of it, that could be the Spring Hill, that could be the Portage County part of it, that could be the Uniontown part of it. If you live in Springfield Township, no matter where you work, you could work in Pennsylvania, Cleveland, Columbus, anywhere, your employer would withhold a Springfield income tax that would then come back to the district. Am I correct on that, Chris?
You are.
Okay. What I would like to see, Chris, is just maybe some rough numbers. If we went out and we put a 0.5% on, a 3/4 or 1%, and again, I've said this from the day the levy failed, I am not in favor of an income tax to replace the levy that we were trying to pass. You would have to have an astronomical income tax percentage to make up those funds that we were looking for in the levy. What I'm looking for here, and I think we can do, is offset the levy funds. And maybe that would enable us to lower the millage on the levy that could possibly work on both sides of it from the community standpoint. My understanding is a lot of the no votes were from the retired, the elderly, the pension, fixed income people, that income tax would not affect them. So a lower levy rate, a lower levy millage, not saying that's going to help them, but that would actually lessen the amount that they would owe. And the same goes for, so say you have a renter that works, well, they would pick up the income tax side of it, but they would save, or they would not have the property tax side of it on the levy. So again, just kind of some thoughts I had there. This one was more specifically to Chris, just being the treasurer.
But I have contacted an attorney at Rutzel to start that process, to at least give us some numbers, and along with a much reduced property tax levy. When I say much reduced, it would have to be south of 4 Mills, and we should be able to get that information within a month.
Okay, great.
Because you're correct. The calls that I've been receiving on a daily basis are typically people in their 70s on a fixed income, Social Security, and although they, from what I feel, they support the district, they just can't afford what was presented to them, and I understand that. I understand.
And an income tax would not hit them on pension, on disability, on any of those retirement funds, correct?
Correct.
Okay,
We'd have to set it up that way, but a lot of districts do that. And so
Right.
that's how we would probably initially look at that type of thing. Yeah, we do have some options, again, because it's very obvious that new money is at this time is difficult to get passed.
right. So that's all I had. Again, I throw those challenges out there as just something that we can help our children that are going to be suffering so much from these cuts as it is, not to mention the staff and everybody in the community. So I'm going to leave those somewhat negative thoughts, and I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas. Residents, students, staff, board, admin, everybody. You can't go have that big Christmas party with the family, but still you can enjoy your time. And I, again, wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thanks, Chad. You too.
And Mr. Lance, I will, we'll put together some projections on the busing, but just the very short answer to your question about busing comes down to capacity of how many kids you can pick up on that bus and get to where you're going on time with the square mileage in the township. And I agree with you, as many as we can get on there post-COVID restrictions, we're restricted,
Right.
you know, we have further restrictions on that there, but yes, we'll definitely put together some projections and make sure we find that sweet spot with the savings we need to realize and getting as many as we can. But that's the kind of short answer, is capacity.
And
Thanks,
I think
Dustin.
another thing that, and I think the board understands this, but for the taxpayers is this situation that we're in isn't forever. Meaning that if we can't find any other revenue streams and we have to bear the burden on the expenditure side, which just means people, that if you look at our plan in not next year, not 21, 22, but the following year, our cash reserves start going up. And then that's when we will be able to look at bringing people back. That's the key, is to bring back people as quickly as we can. And I know that's difficult, but I'm very confident that things will get better. It's just that it's unfortunate that we have to take these measures, and it takes a toll on the person that has to cut the costs, and because these are people, these are families, these are husbands and spouses and children and grandparents get involved, and it's just a horrible, horrible situation. And that's what we're doing in my office. Is I try to talk to 2 or 3 people a day from the community, and for the most part, the conversations are enlightening for people. Doesn't mean they can afford it, but at least they understand why we're doing what we're doing.
Thanks, Chris.
Okay.
Thanks, Chris. I also want to say there's been talk of people saying going back to Springfield, going back on the ballot in the spring. There's a May special primary, May 4, and there's a 90-day filing on that. So if we were to go back on in May, we'd have to have 2 readings in January.
Correct.
So, and that would require to have a millage size. Now we talk about income tax and all those things. So just to give you the heads up that if we're going to do it, we would have to have 2 readings in January.
And understand this, that it doesn't matter whether it's in May or whether it's in November. The collection doesn't happen until starting in January/February of 2022. Yeah. So it doesn't, I feel we have to be very cautious. We have to get all of this stuff together, and rushing something, if it doesn't benefit us, I'm just, throwing caution out there. So, but if we have to, we can get it done.
So Chris, we would not start collecting a half year sooner if we went in the spring?
No. You lost a whole year. You lost a whole year. The collection wouldn't happen until the first collection of 2022, which is in
Right.
February.
And
So,
that's the reason I wrote the letter to all the board members and to you, Chuck and Chris. I understand we don't want to rush it, but I understand also this. And I agree with Angela and some of the thoughts that's out there. My thought is this: if we can get it out there early and we get it passed, even though we don't want to wait towards the end of the year, we have something concrete. And then we know that that money is approved. And I get it. It's not coming until 22, January, February, the first release, from the tax office. It won't get there. It doesn't help us immediately. But if it is passed and we can get something that's solid and concrete, then we really have something to work with, and we can actually plan what we can do, what we can bring back, what programs we don't really have to cut. My emphasis is if we have something, then we can start to take a look at mitigating the cuts that we're going to have to look at the end of May, June, at the end of our school year. That's my thought process. And
I agree, Dave. I agree. It's just that the cuts that we have to make in May will have to go forward because, again, the soonest we can bring back people is typically would be second semester.
I understand.
But, there might be some that we can bring back. I mean, dependent on how our 5-year forecast goes and how we do for the end of this year. It's just, again, we're this second defeat really boxed us in a corner. If
that's an understatement.
I will say, if we knew we had a new dedicated revenue source, we could borrow more and lay off less. That said, we also have to be careful rushing onto the ballot. We have to have a clear plan of what we're going to do. We didn't have a lot of choice after the August levy. We had to. We just didn't have much choice. We didn't have any time. In fact, I think we already approved the November levy before the August was even done. We had to because of the timing requirements.
Correct.
So,
we have to keep in perspective, though, and this is what's really difficult, is I saw the passion and the hard work for the second levy, and it didn't move the needle. It moved it a couple percentage points. The reality is you're talking 61% failure rate, which is a huge failure rate. And so we have to keep in consideration that if we're talking in 2 months, and we have to ask ourselves these hard questions. Do we believe the community is going to go from 61 no to 51 yes? And that is a tall order.
Not at 7.7 mils or not.
That's correct.
That's why we have to be really strategic in what we craft, and do we have time to craft that? I do think, we're not going to solve it all tonight. I think we should have a work session.
I agree.
Early to mid-January, so we can continue discussing the levy. I think we still, throughout the spring, we'll have a lot of discussion regarding what positions are going to be cut. I mean, it's my opinion that anything we can save, we should, and we're going to have to, as a board, we've already had a lot of debate. We're going to have continued debate on where we put our priorities, what we think is going to have the least impact upon our students and our staff.
And we can do a quick turnaround. We could do 2 resolutions. We can do a resolution one day and come back in a day or two and do the second resolution. We've done that before. So the time frame, I mean, is possible. It's just that it's what process how we're going to do it, what kind of income tax are we looking at, what kind of levy we're going to look at, and that of the sort. I have talked to people that said if the levy was less, but like Chad always says, what's less, how much? That's the big question.
And so those are the things we have to decide, and I think we can work through those in a work session. I'll just say one of my concerns with an income tax is I am afraid that people will pass maybe a smaller income tax, providing a significantly lesser amount of revenue and say, well, I did my part. Now I'm not going to vote for the property tax that the district sorely needs. So, I would like it. I doubt it's possible, but I would love to see them join. So you can't vote for one without the other. You have to vote for an income tax and at the same time vote for a lesser, smaller amount property tax. I still get people saying, the school district and the board needs to be more transparent, and I am happy to be as transparent as possible. And part of being transparent is telling people things they don't want to hear. And this will not be popular with our residents. And I don't care. I'm happy to be the bad guy. Our residents have to pay more for our schools. The state of Ohio is not going to pay more, so it's going to fall on the local residents. And, I understand people are on fixed incomes. I, as a worker, I'm happy to pay more. I'm happy to pay an income tax, but everybody has to pay something. And I look at other school districts. I look at Coventry. That's just, in the process of hopefully emerging from fiscal emergency. Their residents pay 20 mils more in property tax for education than our residents pay. You can't tell me there aren't fixed income people in Coventry paying 20 mils more property tax for education than our residents pay. City of Akron pays 24, 25 mils more property tax for education than our residents pay. You can't tell me there's more fixed income residents in Springfield than there are in Akron. Mogador pays 30 mils more. Each resident in Mogador pays 30 mils more for education than the residents in Springfield and Lakemore pay. Folks, you get what you pay for. If we are going to do right by our children and our students, the people of this community have to be willing to pay more than what they currently pay. This district is not going to survive without new funding. And, I'm not willing to put up with excuses. We as a district have to do better, and our residents have to do better. And that's all I've got.
Neil, I've heard comments that they just let us be absolved into Akron. You just put it right out there. You think your taxes are high now and you don't want to approve a 7 mil levy, go pay 24 mils more, 30 mils more. That's not solving anything by being absolved into Akron or Ellett or Mogador or anywhere. You're going to pay more. I think last meeting we looked at it. We were the 4th lowest in the county.
Yes.
And even after, even if that 7.7 mils would have passed, it still would have been one of the lowest in the county.
Correct.
We would have went from 4th to 5th.
Frankly, I don't know how we run the school district as it is. I mean, our residents pay a very low property tax rate for education, and they have to step up. Have to. If the school district's going to survive, they have to step up.
Agreed.
Well,
Yeah.
I live on a fixed income. Doesn't everybody live on a fixed income?
That is true, Mary Lou. I just can't go to my employer and say, I need another $500 this year to pay taxes. It doesn't work that way. You're absolutely right.
Well, no, and I can't either.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not, for me, it's not an expense. It's an investment. If I pay $300 a year, if my taxes go up $300 a year and our original levy was for 10 years, correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, 300 times 10 is $3,000. Thank you. At the end of 10 years, my house will be more than $3,000 at the beginning of the 10 years and to the end. It is an investment in the community.
It is.
My house will go up. I will get that return on my investment. And in the meantime, our kids are educated. We take care of our own in our community. It is an absolute imperative investment. And it signals how strong you are. And I understand, like you say, some people are on some tight budgets. When me and my wife had our kids when we were younger and she decided to stay home with the kids, I want to tell you, it was tight. We even went, and it took her some to convince me, because we were we were disadvantaged economically. You know, we went on WIC against, and it worked for us, you know, until we could make enough, or I made enough that we got off of that. It wasn't a handout. It wasn't charity. It helped us as a family. And I get that. And we voted, I have voted for every school increase that there has been in Springfield, because that's in my heart. That's what I believe. And I have sent kids to private school and made that sacrifice. And I have brought a couple of them back, and they went to Springfield. To me, it's an investment. This community invested themselves in us, and we invest ourselves in them. It's a two-way street. I'm glad we came to Springfield and we settled down. Didn't really know much about it when me and my wife got married. And we've been here for 32 years. Mary Lou, you've been here all your life. There's been families here that have went to this district 4 generations. It's an investment in your community. I agree with you, Neil. Absolutely.
On a different note, I need to make a really big shout out to a couple of our students. They were recognized in the Beacon Journal for Make the Grade Kids of Character. And the first one was Lindsay Dodson, my granddaughter. She's at the junior and senior high. A very nice picture and article about her. And the other little girl was Chloe Anderson from Spring Hill. You see, we're doing good things. We need to keep doing good things. We need to keep these kids engaged. I'm really proud of the 3 little granddaughters that I have. They're doing very well. I think they want to return to school in January, and we're hoping and praying that they can. We're just going to have to get together as a board and mull this over. What can you say? We've been here. I've been in this district, like I said, for 40+ years. Well, I was born and raised in this country, in this township, but we're going to lose kids. We're going to lose kids. I even have a grandson that's building in Green because he said, I don't want to put my kids through this. What does that say for our schools? What does that say? And, you know, I had nothing to say back to him. What can I say back to him? He lived through cuts. He lived through all this baloney. So I don't know. I want to wish each of you a Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year, and stay safe. And I hope everyone stays well and and Santa Claus is real good to you.
Thank you, Mary Lou.
That's all.
Anybody else?
Well, it's going to be a weird Christmas not getting together with family, but I think it teaches us that we can occupy ourselves with some handmade items and some things that are created out of love, and we can distribute those to our families and strengthen our bonds, even if we can't be together. So I hope that my family appreciates some of the efforts that we've been going through to do some homemade Christmas giving. And I hope that it comes across in the spirit that it was intended.
Well said.
Yeah, that's very good, Larry. From my house to everybody else's house, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. And as always, with this virus that's gone out, I have said it before, I'll say it again, say a prayer for our country, say a prayer for our community. It is a great time of year of reflection of what this year has brought us, good and not so good. And for those board members, we have evaluations to do. Thank you for those who have sent them in, and I'm done. So if anybody else has anything else to say, we'll move on to adjournment.
So
Hearing nothing else, we'll move on to adjournment. Larry, thank you. Second. Thank you. Mr. Adams, will you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Dodson,
Yes.
Mr. Hess,
Yes.
Mr. Petrie,
yes.
Mr. Hofer,
Yes.
Mr. Lance.
Yes.
Okay, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for your attention and for your participation.